Okay. And then I want to talk to you guys just a little bit about the, when we are presenting, right? When I'm presenting, guys, there's a few things that I take into consideration. And I think it's really important for all of us just to have an idea of what it is, right? So, number one, the first big thing that I want you guys just to take note of if you're taking notes is if they don't have the money to pay for it, we shouldn't be offering it because they're not going to choose it, right? It just doesn't make sense. Number two, and I'm going to teach you guys how to figure that out, right? Number two, I gotta figure out what they're looking for and explain it with my words to make sense to them rather than just saying, hey, here's your $20,000 policy, here's your $100,000 policy. I gotta paint that picture of what it is. Okay. So number one, with their income, I know that for final expense clients, a lot of times, guys, if it's above 10% of their income, I'm probably not going to go too much higher than that. Like a lot of these people don't have huge income, so I'm not going to go too much higher than that. I just know that they're just not going to be able to pay for it. Number two, we have if someone wants a final expense policy and it's 15,000 in coverage is or they believe it's going to cost 15,000. Well, like if I show them a $5,000 policy, it's not going to make sense to them, right? If I have to show a 5,000 because their income, I gotta find the words to explain how that makes sense. Like I can't jump that gap. Does that make sense? Like I can't just say, hey, here's 5,000 because that's all you can afford. I have to be like, hey, 5,000 is going to be better than nothing. I just had Susie, whose husband passed last week. Husband called me, or she called me because she found the notes from the husband when I was on the phone with him. He told me he wanted to think about it because he didn't want anything. And we ended up not getting him anything. And she's in a terrible spot and said she wished they started off with the 5,000. So we don't want to put you in a position where you don't have anything because something's better than nothing. Right. And I'm going to paint a picture, tell a story, make it make sense to them about how that is beneficial for them if I have to go that route. And so I am going to portray the solution. I almost call like I used to call it putting together a puzzle almost, right? Because like I got to know what they believe it's going to be. I got to know what the cost is. I got to know their income. I got to know how healthy they are, right? I got to be able to speak these things. And this is like being a real pro at this. Because if I'm just like going through the script and I'm new, like, dude, get after it, get dials in, you'll make sales following the script. Like it just happens. You know what I mean? But if you want to like get like a 40-60% closing ratio and like really bump up your ROI, like these are the things that you can do to start to increase your profit. These are the things that you can do to really start to be the pro, right? Andy's two rules of business is figure out how to kick your own ass every single day and never let anybody else know your business better than you. Like, think about it, guys. Are you studying every day? Like, and I'm not saying that you have to. I'm just saying if you want to be great, like a lot of people underestimate the amount of effort it's going to take to be great. So, like, I can't sign up to make $1 million a year. Like, they don't just give out money like that. You know what I'm saying? So I got to know that it's going to take some effort. It's going to take elbow grease if I want to be great. So following these things, if you guys are consistently, trying to get better and continuing to grow and working out your kinks, and these are simple areas where we can all increase our ROI. I'm going to walk through them again. Number one is not letting them take control of the conversation. If they go talking about all this random stuff, I got to cut them off. Right? I don't want to go down their process. I want them to go down my process. Number two, know your process, right? I got to know the questions. I got to know my objections. Because if I don't, it's going to be awkward silence. It's going to be weird. They're not going to trust me. It doesn't matter what lead I'm calling. If I call somebody, if I'm trying to get information on something and there's all these awkward pauses, I'm like, dude, do you even know what you're doing? Like, I'm ready to pay you money. I need the solution. Like, can you provide it? What's going on here? We got to give them that feeling that they're going to be comfortable to say yes, right? That's number two. Number three is presentation. We got to make sure, and I'm just going off of memory here. I might miss one of these things here. Number three is presentation. I got to know how to portray the concept of what they're looking for to make sense for them. Number four is how we present, right? I'm not going to give them something that's unrealistic. I'm not going to give them something that doesn't make sense to them. I'm not going to give them something that's going to be, totally out of their budget. That's not what they're trying to fulfill and not give them an explanation for it. I have to make it make sense for them. And I can do that by using my words and telling stories, right? Super, super powerful. I'm going to give you guys a couple of examples of how you guys can start to use this stuff or start to get better with this stuff. Number one, guys, practice your script and process, practice your objections, do it daily. Like I'm out here and I practice, right? Like I've been doing this for 2 years and I'm still practicing. I'm still trying to get better. And if you're not where you want to be right now, the fastest way to get better is to start reading out your process, investing in yourself daily, and starting to learn consistently. There's a lot of people out here this weekend, and I showed you guys a picture of, when I got started, my first month I did 3,000. And then 3 months later, I swear to you, alls I did was I practiced my script, I practiced my objections, and I went crazy on just plugging in a training by asking questions. And I gathered all this information. And then I wrote 50,000 plus the next like couple of months in a row. Right. And I just continued to get better. But alls I did, the thing that separated me from where I was to where I was when I was writing 50 and beyond, is I practiced my script every day. There was nobody that could overcome objections better than me because I practice every single day in the mirror. I put on photo booth. I would record myself, right? To the point where like you could say anything. Ice cream's melting in the back of the car. I just got a flat tire. Like there's aliens that are invading us. No worries. I'll have you off the phone in 30. Like it doesn't matter. I'll overcome anything. You know what I mean? It became fun. It was a game to me. And so I knew my process so well. And I was just so educated on how to talk to people, how to overcome their objections, ask the right questions. So by practicing, by investing in you, by training, by plugging into more content like this, by getting on all these calls, by asking the questions when you have them, you're going to continue to learn and you're going to continue to get more information and you're going to start to get better. And just week by week, man, you're going to stack this up and you're not going to all of a sudden tomorrow sneeze your way in to being the top producer or being the best of the best. But what I will tell you is if you go 25 days and you're consistent and you're willing to put in the time and you actually do the practice, I promise you, or like I don't know, like I call me a liar, right? Like you will get better. You will move closer to where you want to go. And you'll ask anybody on these calls, like it's it's just plugging in and it's just doing the work. It's simple, right? So I want you guys to know that where you are and where you want to be, like we talked about it this weekend, like it's not that far away. And so if you're someone right now that you're like, man, I want to be at the top of the leaderboard, man, I just want to be financially free, man, I really want to be in a position where I can work from anywhere and I can travel around and I can just make money wherever I want. Like it's not as far away as you think it is. We just got to develop your skill set. Like your skill set is the one thing holding you back from the life that you want. And the difference between the people that are killing it in business and killing it in sales is just their skill set. And it's an internal thing. It's not a secret source of leads. It's not a magical dialing system. It's not a like it's not any of these external things. It's in here. I could dial off my phone all day long and close people. I did it like on Saturday. I made like 60 calls and I got a sale because I had an opportunity and I knew how to execute on it just because I've done this before. Right. But if I'm not as experienced, if I'm not as fine tuned, if I'm not as into what I'm doing, it might take me 120. It might take me 150 calls. It might take me 200 calls. It might take me 300 calls. But the better you get, the less effort it takes. It's like riding a bike, right?